evening and welcome to the February 14th meeting of the Board of School Trustees. This meeting will be open to the public during Indiana's ongoing public health emergency as declared by Governor Holcomb. Masks must be worn at all times on Fort Wayne Community School grounds. Social distancing will be practiced at the meeting, therefore some members of the public who wish to attend may be excluded. If you plan to attend media, please call our Public Information Officer, Krista Stockman. All others, please contact our temporary clerk of the board, Andrew Rosine. And the public is encouraged to view the meeting at Cable Comcast 54 and Frontier 24 or the live stream on our Facebook page or our YouTube channel. Priority for attendance in person will be given to the members of the media. We'll begin our meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we'll begin our roll call of members.
Good evening, Steve Corona from the 5th District.
Julie Hollingsworth, District 1.
Jennifer Mathias, District 2. Maria Norman, Member at Large.
Raleigh Booker, 4th District.
Noah Smith, 3rd District.
And I am Ann Duff, Member at Large and President of the Board. And to my left is Andy Rosine, our Clerk of the Board, and our Superintendent, Dr. Daniel. Good evening.
Good evening.
Okay, we'll begin this evening with our awards and recognition. And we have several of those this evening. So we'll begin, Maria, we'll start with our National Public Schools Week, which is next week, February 21 through the 25th.
It is recommended that the board recognize the National School Boards Association celebration of public schools throughout the country. Each year, the National School Boards Association celebrates public schools throughout the country. This year, February 21 through 25 has been designated as National Public School Week. Fort Wayne Community Schools is proud of our educators and staff who work tirelessly to educate all of our students to high standards. A video will be shown to highlight many of our wonderful students and staff.
Well, thank you for that video. We are always very proud of our teachers and all the work that they do, and we're glad we can celebrate them next week. Next on our agenda, it is recommended that the board whoops, I think I went to the wrong one. It is recommended the board recognize journalist Karen Francisco as the first recipient of the Fort Wayne Community Schools Friend of Public Education Award. Before I read the related information on our recommendation, I just wanted to talk a little bit about what Karen Francisco has done for public education. She's just been such a staunch supporter of public schools in general and in the state of Indiana. So I'm just going to highlight some of the things that she has done. She, with her writing, she's introduced us to ALEC, or as she titled it, Smart ALEC, and pointed out some of the damaging legislation that has taken place here in Indiana as well as around the country. She exposed the scandal with Imagine Charter Schools closure and the reopening with a voucher school. This is one that I had forgotten about, but several years ago, Governor Pence created what we called CC, the Center for Educational and Career Innovation, a supposed umbrella agency whose true intent was to take away power from our newly elected superintendent of public instruction, Glenda Ritz. She helped us learn about vouchers and their effect on public schools, continually exposing the amount of money increases that fund these schools and the broadening of the income limits and pathways to get a voucher. And now the money, as she wrote recently, has exceeded $1 billion since 2011. She's exposed the virtual school fraud of $85 million. More recently, she questioned the Purple for Parents as well as Todd Rokita's Parents' Bill of Rights. And in addition to her writing, Karen has been a strong supporter of groups around the state, including Northeast Indiana Friends of Publication, and a few of those members are in our audience today, the Indiana Coalition for Public Education. She was part of the documentary A Rise Above the Mark and has been on panel discussions after screenings of that documentary and others such as A Backpack Full of Cash. She was also instrumental in working with Huffington Post when they came to town on a tour and was on a panel discussion they sponsored about school choice. And she's also contributed to the Advancing the Voices of Women, the AVOW program, and about their session on vouchers. And I'm just touching the surface of the many contributions that Karen has made. It's always been a joy opening up the Journal-Gazette and seeing Karen's strong support of public schools. And I'm going to close with a few words from Diane Ravitch. I reached out to her and asked if she had something that she wanted to say, as she is also a big fan of Karen's. And she states that Karen is an inspiration and a pillar of strength to everyone who cares about America's public schools. In a world of mass media where most journalists are indifferent to the drumbeat of attacks on public schools and their teachers, Karen's insight has been a precious resource. She is one of the few journalists who understands that a war against the public schools is a war against democracy. So, in conjunction with National Public Schools Week, the Fort Wayne Community Schools Board of Trustees would like to recognize an individual whose support of public education has benefited educators, students, and families in Fort Wayne and throughout the state of Indiana. Karen Francisco spent 40 years as a journalist writing about education and other issues, both as a news reporter and an editorial writer. For the past 21 years, she was a member of the editorial board of the Journal-Gazette and spent the past 8 years as editorial page editor, retiring in December. As an editorial writer, Karen championed public education and the rights of all students to a free education and challenged the increased efforts to privatize schools without fiscal transparency or oversight. Editorials she authored called for support of public schools, such as this from a December 2020 editorial: support for today's public school teachers and the next generations of teachers should take precedence over private school tuition for families with the means to pay for it themselves. Karen, please come forward to accept the first Fort Wayne Community Schools Friend of Public Education Award.
Any words, any parting words of wisdom you have for us? If you
walk away.
Exactly.
Your favorite thing to write about, education-wise?
Here we are in the middle of a legislative session.
Yeah. Hold that microphone
So
close.
yeah, there's probably a lot I could say, but you've probably been reading about it. And I would just encourage everyone, it's been easy to be an advocate for, especially for this district. You have terrific people, beginning with your teachers and staff. I'm still involved. I actually was at Washington Elementary as a volunteer today, so I'm continuing to be involved and continue to be impressed by the terrific people you have in this district. And people should be very proud of the school district you have here. So thank you so much. This means a great deal to me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we have Raleigh, the Lilly Scholarship.
It is recommended that the board recognize 4 outstanding FWCS students who have received the prestigious academic honor of being named 2021-2022 Lilly Scholars. The Lilly Endowment Community Scholarship Program is designed to help raise the level of educational attainment in Indiana, increase awareness of the beneficial roles Indiana community foundations can play in their communities, and encourage efforts of Lilly Endowment community scholars to engage with each other and with state leaders to improve quality of life in Indiana. Each deserving student receives the following: full tuition, required fees and book stipend for 4 years, may attend any public or private Indiana four-year college or university accredited by the Higher Learning Commission of the North Central Association of Colleges and Schools. Please come forward as your name is called so we may congratulate you, and I apologize in advance if I mispronounce your name. Ile Tu, student at Northside High School, accompanied by Matt Leopold, guidance counselor at Northside, Amy Nguyen, guidance counselor at Northside, and Dave West, principal at Northside High School.
Okay, do it this way.
Next, we have Emily Clough, student at Southside High School, Kamisha Baskin, guidance counselor at Southside, Adam Swinford, principal at Southside.
Emily, can you tell us what your plans are next year? Is your sweatshirt a clue? Oh,
I'm going to go to IU Bloomington for Intelligent Systems Engineering.
wow, that's cool. Congratulations.
Next, we have Gabrielle Vargas, a student at Wayne High School, accompanied by Helen Tobo, guidance counselor, John Hauser, principal at Wayne High School.
And Gabriel, how about you?
Tell us your plans on your way
On
out.
your way out, there's a microphone.
Currently, I'm undecided on school, but I plan to go and study computer science and economics.
Awesome.
Okay, great.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Good luck to you.
Thank you.
All right, and next we have Tajan Marlowe, a student at New Tech Academy at Wayne High School, accompanied by Rachel Aikenbeck, guidance counselor, and Emily Oberlin, director at New Tech Academy at Wayne.
They're going to ask you.
Yep, okay.
What are your plans?
Tegan, how about you?
As of right now, I plan on attending University of Indianapolis to major in nursing and minor in psychology.
Great. Good luck to you.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Steve, you've been around for a while. Has Fort Wayne Community Schools ever had that many Lilly Endowment Scholars before?
Shanita is shaking her head one way or the other,
I mean, four, that's pretty impressive.
but maybe somebody would,
Not since I've been on the board, I don't think.
Me neither.
4's a good number.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a
Definitely.
great number.
5 would be better.
Next year.
One from each school.
Okay, next we have the New Tech Academy at Wayne High School Ocean Awareness Contest. And that is Jennifer.
It is recommended that the board recognize New Tech Academy at Wayne High School for participating and placing in a national/international contest on ocean conservation. The Ocean Awareness Contest is a global competition sponsored by Bowel Sea Ocean Awareness Programs that engages youth in creatively raising awareness of environmental issues impacting our blue planet. Ruby Foster, who was selected from nearly 6,000 participants worldwide, received a cash award and is featured in Bowel Sea's Ocean Advocacy Art Gallery. Ruby received an honorable mention award in the film category. Her work can be viewed at the following website. Please come, you want me to read it?
Yep.
Oh, sorry, okay,
Oh,
I apologize.
I was just going
Okay.
to comment that we are going to view that this evening.
Yes, so the website is bowseat.org/gallery/C-what-I-see, Please come forward when your name is called so we may congratulate you. Congratulations to Ruby Foster, who is our student, Ginger Geisler, the facilitator, Matt Gebhard, facilitator, Emily Overland, and John Hauser.
Ruby, anything you want to tell us about the contest or what got you inspired?
I'm actually
I
going to
knew,
go first.
I knew Emily would see a microphone.
We're going to let you guys view it, so enjoy Ruby's video, see what I see.
Cool.
that take you to put it together?
Well, this is my first time actually doing animation, so it took me, I'd say, roughly a month and a half. Yes.
And the music was wonderful. How did you do that? How did you find that music?
Well, both of the songs featured are sounds that I've listened to over the years of just loving music, so that came across. And music influences everything that I do, whether in a film aspect or animation aspect, as you could tell.
Great work.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Okay, and again, we have a new Academy at Wayne Award. Julie?
It's recommended that the board recognize New Tech Academy at Wayne High School for placing in the following categories at Tech Fest. First place in MAP, which is most active participants, second place in cybersecurity, and third place in programming. Tech Fest is a community event for high school students sponsored in a cooperative effort by the Northeastern Indiana Technology Coalition and local industry partners. The goal of Tech Fest is to promote science, technology, engineering, and mathematics curriculum to demonstrate their place in local organizations and their respective fields. So please come forward when your name is called so that we may congratulate you. Marlena Ames, Mia Sartan, Kyle Stark, Carter Till, Jacob Valiva, and facilitator Eric Toy, and Emily Oberlund, New Tech Director, and John Hauser, Wayne Principal.
Can you tell us a little bit about what it took to get these first, second, and third places? And what is MAP, most active participants?
Well, for me in computer science, what it really took to get this third place was a lot of frustration, I'll be honest. When we went into the competition, they wanted us to read and write from files, which for some reason none of us had prepared for. So it was a lot of struggle on that day to get that figured out and sort of understand the system that I needed to have to figure that out. But once we got that out, we were able to get rolling, distribute that sort of code to everyone else in our team, and sort of secure us the third place. It was mostly just our swift work that enabled us to score enough points to really get our position. But for cybersecurity?
Yeah, for us in cybersecurity, at least for me, it was our earliest thing, the earliest thing that we ever learned in cybersecurity, which is how to spot phishing emails, which is a useful skill for anybody to have. So it was really interesting to go through and look at some of the most convincing phishing emails I've ever seen.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Any advice for us?
Yes. How do we know?
Check that the email is correct.
Right.
It's mostly because it can look accurate, like the entire email can look accurate, but it can be off by one letter, so make sure that you're scanning that entire thing before you give any personal information about yourself.
Yeah. Mouse over any links before you click on it, too.
Yeah, mouse over any links.
If it looks suspicious, don't do
Yep,
it.
don't do it.
If it's not a file type you recognize, don't download it.
Don't do it. Don't do it. Yep.
Take that advice.
So are any of you interested in computer science or, IT as a career?
I'm interested in computer science, not specifically cybersecurity, but I want to do game design when I get older. So
really?
that's, yeah.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah, this is part of our computer science pathway. So
Yeah. I was planning to major in computer science at Purdue West Lafayette, so.
I'm also planning to, again, major in computer science, hopefully at Purdue West Lafayette as well.
got it.
Yep.
Yeah, it's computer science.
I'm going to keep teaching it, so.
Well, that's good.
Great.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, thank you very much. Congratulations.
And we have, Noah is going to read the Nelson Snyder High School Wells Scholarship.
It is recommended that the board recognize Snyder High School for having a recipient of the Wells Scholarship at Indiana University's Bloomington campus. This is the first time in over a decade that our Nelson Snyder High School has had a student awarded the Wells Scholarship. Named in the honor of Herman B. Wells, Indiana University's 11th president, the Wells Scholars Program guarantees the full cost of attendance for 4 years of undergraduate study at IU's Bloomington campus. Each year, around 18 incoming freshmen receive the award based solely on merit. In addition, students have to compete against hundreds of other applicants for this prestigious award, which included a rigorous application process and interviews by Indiana University professors. Please come forward as I call your name. Sarah Rodenbach, our Wells Scholarship recipient. Accompanying her is Adrienne Schroyer, Guidance Counselor, Alex Harvey, Guidance Counselor, and Chad Hissong, Principal.
David, pictures? Okay.
So, Sarah,
Sarah, you can't escape us, so.
Tell us about your plans for next year.
Yes, I plan to major in biology and then go on to med school after that.
Awesome. Well,
excellent. So what was the rigorous application process?
You have multiple little essays to write about yourself and to write about what you plan to do at Indiana University Bloomington besides just being a good student. And then you also have to write an argumentative essay about a topic that not everybody would have an opinion about. So you should be educated in order to know, really have a big opinion on the topic. And I chose to write about the death with dignity laws for hospice patients. It's a physician-assisted death for hospice patients.
Interesting.
How many rounds of interviews did you have to do with the professors?
It's just one round of interviews. It was a half-hour Zoom conference with a panel of 4 people at the university.
And how tough were those questions?
Really tough. They asked me questions I was never, ever going to be prepared for, but you just have to come up with something on the fly.
You must have done a fabulous job. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Good luck.
Thank you.
Okay, that completes our awards then for this evening. And we will move on to our consent agenda, which is the approval of our minutes from January 24th, our vouchers and payroll, as well as our personnel report. Is there a motion on the floor?
Move approval of the items listed under the consent agenda.
Thank you, Steve.
Second.
Thank you, Maria. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, and Dr. Daniel, was there anything on the personnel report you wanted to mention?
I'll wait until after the vote, but no, not
Oh.
just yet.
Didn't we vote?
We
Yeah,
just
we already
voted.
have, but I'll wait till.
You'll wait till the end, okay,
till you can-
gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, we will move on then to our new business, since we have no old business, and our first recommendation is defined learning.
Voice vote.
Maria.
It is recommended that the board approve the purchase of a 2-year contract from Define Learning in the amount of $571,923. The Define Learning platform will support the design and implementation of project-based learning where students will have the opportunity to make real-world connections. Define Learning will support the integration of the 4 elements and 6 competencies of everyday deep learning into student learning. Educators will have the opportunity to learn the foundations and applications of project-based learning, authentic performance tasks, as well as the opportunity to leverage student voice. Various stakeholders may earn micro-credentials that align with effective classroom practices. Funding will come from the Elementary and Secondary School Emergency Relief Fund, or ESSER. Questions will be addressed by Ramona Coleman, Assistant Superintendent of professional learning.
Thank you, Maria. Is there a motion on the floor for approval?
I'll move for approval.
Thank you, Jennifer,
Second.
and thank you, Maria. Okay, do you have any questions for Ramona?
Yeah, so how does this coordinate with, like, we're doing 3DE, we're piloting that in 2 of our high schools next year, and that's kind of project-based learning. Yeah, I guess I'm curious what level this is, you know, is it K through 12? What's the professional learning for teachers, yada, 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 you got it.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Defined learning, first of all, I want to say that it's an extension of year 1 that the board approved for this year that we're using defined learning. So this is a continuation of that contract. So with that, it's K through 12 or pre-K through 12 that all of our students can use defined learning. Again, it's project-based. The connection that we see with 3DE, which is right now going to be at 2 of our high schools, is that we want to make sure that before our students get into the secondary level of middle school and high school, that we frame that learning for them at an early age around project-based learning. Right now, at this time, we've had about 16,000 views. In a way, the reason I say views instead of students is because a student can actually access the system more than once, and so I don't want to say 16,000 students. But we do have elementary, middle, and high school students that's using defined learning as of right now. As far as the professional learning, Julie, we did a soft rollout at first that basically we made defined learning available to all teachers. We had PL sessions that was on a voluntary basis for teachers to actually engage in after school for an hour and a half. We're going to do a harder rollout starting this month. And so just in conversation with the consultants from Defined Learning today, we're going to engage principals again and PL around Defined Learning at leadership at the end of this month, the 23rd, 24th, and 25th. We'll have 3 consultants from Defined Learning. We actually want principals to take on the role of the student. So we want principals to be able to see exactly what their students are engaging in when they access the Defined Learning platform. The coaches with their support earlier this past summer, we had a full day with coaches around Defined Learning. We're going to repeat that now with coaches and principals side by side with each other. And then hopefully that we'll have full participation from all schools in using the platform.
Is there summer PL?
Yes.
I mean, as we know, you know, teachers are probably, and administrators maybe are, you know, kind of stressed right now anyways, and it seems like putting something else on their plate right now.
Yes, so
might not be the
again,
best
we want to
thing.
make sure, Julie, that for defined learning, we haven't stopped. So this is kind of an add-on to make sure we are personalizing that professional learning even more. We will have summer PL. We spoke earlier about Human Capital Management University, and so we will have summer sessions available for teachers and administrators. Again, sessions that will be available session 1 and session 2.
So who comes up with the projects? Does the teacher come up with the projects? Or is that part of defined learning?
So the projects are a part of defined learning. So this is really why we chose defined learning as a platform. So again, when we think about all the things that teachers have to do, we wanted to make sure that there was a platform and a tool that was available for teachers to readily access projects that had already been defined for them. Now, the projects within defined learning, we were able to share with them our scope and sequence at the elementary level and secondary level. So it's not just going in to choose any project, but teachers can choose specific projects that align with their scope and sequence, whether it's quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3, quarter 4. The PL that we're going to engage principals and coaches in at the end of this month will be around the scope and sequence of quarter 4 standards.
Did you have a chance to talk to other school districts using this product?
We did, and we basically, Dr. Daniel and myself both had an opportunity to visit with superintendents in Illinois. where we shared the platform with Define Learning. We're also going to engage in a conversation with a school district tomorrow at 3 o'clock. And basically what they're going to be sharing with us is how they've used Define Learning in their summer programming.
Okay. You said we're already using this?
Yes, sir.
And how long have we been using this?
Our first rollout was in August of this past summer, so we rolled it out to principals at QIT. So really it's just kind of a brief 45-minute conversation with principals, and then we had a full day of PL with coaches. And then basically we shared to principals that we wanted them to try on the platform, see if it was something that they would like, not a push or a mandate that teachers had to do it or buildings had to do it. And so right now, based upon the interest level that we have there, Holland is one of our highest users as of right now that's using the program in the district. I would say our top 5 users are at the elementary level. However, we have had every single building to access it this school year.
What's our bottom 5?
I'm sorry?
What's our bottom 5 utilizing it? If you categorize like middle school, I need to call anybody out.
I would say bottom 5 would be more secondary, whether it's the middle or the high school level.
What would you attribute that to, you think?
As far as them being at the very bottom?
Yeah, their lack of usage, I guess.
I think, again, the lack of usage may have been the rollout, been the soft rollout, and that's why we want to go back and make sure that we're being more intentional, especially at the middle and high school level, of how this product would be very beneficial to them and to their students.
And so are we purchasing it for the very first time, even though we've been using it?
No, we purchased it back this past August. That's when it came to the school board for the first time. So it was a 1-year contract, and so now we're moving forward for the next 2 years with ESSER dollars.
We're not waiting until the contract expires or near the expiration, we're doing it now?
Well, the contract will expire. We brought it to the board in August. Define Learning started letting us use the product for PL in June and July that they did not charge us for, just to see whether or not we liked the program, thought whether or not it was something that we wanted to bring to the district. And so now we don't want to have a gap in services. So if we wait until the contract ends in August, coming back to Julie's question that she asked earlier, then we wouldn't be able to do the PL for our teachers starting in June.
So this 2 years will take us out to August of 2024?
Yes.
Ramona, you've mentioned the micro-credentials before, and I know that we saw it on the Human Capital Project. So what exactly are those, and what benefit does that, I mean, obviously, anytime you're credentialed in something, it helps, but can you explain those a little bit more to me?
Yeah, so for our micro-credentials, we're really looking at part of that train the trainer. So making sure that if there's a specific micro-credential that Define Learning is working with us, we're starting with our coaches and wanting to make sure that they have the micro-credential so they can work with their teachers, because all of our teachers can receive the same micro-credential. We did kind of take a pause based upon the amount of work and the different PLs that we're engaging coaches in. So the first micro-credential is around performance task. So how do you truly create a performance task when you're looking at your unit assessments that you want to include for your teachers? And so we wanted to make sure that all of our coaches were very knowledgeable around performance task. And so there is a complete micro-credential module that they go through, not just coming to a session for 3 hours or 4 hours, but there's a lot of extensive work that's included with the micro-credential for you to prove that you truly understand that concept.
And so then, do you see that as a progression down the line, as you have
Yes.
coaches teaching your teachers will teach other teachers?
Yes, so right now we're trying to make sure, especially with our coaches, moving to that impactful coaching model. We want all of our PL first to be coaches, because they're the boots on the ground that's in the building every day. So that we want to make sure that coaches understand the model. And then once we have that understanding with coaches, then yes, we want to transition coaches to teachers understanding that model so they can have full support at the building level.
Thank you.
Ramona, remind me, if an educator gets micro-credentials, do those hours go toward license
toward licensure renewal.
Okay.
Yes, so if the micro-credential would be 30 hours, then they would receive 30 PGPs or 30 professional growth points.
awesome.
And then they would need 90 PGPs for their license renewal.
And that's free for our teachers?
Yes, that's free for our teachers. It's
I'm
not
sorry,
free for us as a district, but it's free for our
I'm getting
teachers.
confused. Is this for students? Is this for teachers? Is this for
It's for
people that
both.
getting
It's both because,
credentialing?
so there are several different components of defined learning. So the first, the project-based learning, is the teacher actually going in, choosing a project that they want their students to work on, or giving their students a choice of the project they wanted them to work on, assigning that project to the student or to a group of students to work on collectively. So then the student and the student's board can see exactly what the student is working on, and then the students have their own portfolio that transfers or transitions with them from one grade to the next. The micro-credentialing isn't a student component. The micro-credentialing, still a part of defined learning, it's for the adult learner. So that as they're learning and supporting their students, that there are specific micro-credentials that they can earn. But all of it's part of one contract that they're engaged in. So the professional learning, micro-credential, the platform, all of it's in one platform for the students to access and for the teachers to access.
So you mentioned 16,000 views with the students, is that right?
Yes, so 16,000 views with the students is where teachers have gone in to assign a specific project for their students to work on. So the reason I said instead of 16,000 students, because possibly it could be one student that has access to work on their project at least 4 times.
Okay. How about the micro-credentialing then? How often has that been utilized?
So the micro-credentialing right now, we have rolled it out just with coaches. And so coaches have until May to complete their first micro-credential around performance task.
And how many people is that assigned to then?
We have it assigned to the coaching community because we have one coach at every single building, elementary, middle, and high. Then we have central office support because we want central office to be able to have the same micro-credentials. So when you think about the technology department, curriculum department, professional learning department, so we're looking at about 70+ people that will earn that first micro-credential this year.
Okay, I'm done beating up on you, Ramona, sorry, thanks. But as a point of order, I guess, Madam President, I was wondering going forward, particularly as it relates to software, if we would change the terminology from purchase to renewal, because if it's a true purchase, I guess I have a different line of questioning because we've never used that software. You know, we have new exposure to it, so we're kind of curious as to what the feedback that Ramona's getting or her team or anybody for that matter. But if it's a renewal, then I guess I'd really like to hear those, you know, like she talked about 16,000 views, those kind of data statistics of how that stuff's being used. Food for thought.
Absolutely.
Does that make sense?
Clarification on renewal or new purchase? All right, any other?
I'd slept since August and forgot we already had this.
Yes,
Okay.
we do, we have bad memories, that is for sure. I do, I know. Any other questions so for Ramona?
One more.
Yes.
Do we have, or do you have a goal in mind for projected use? I mean, are we looking at in the future for, within the next 2 years, for every teacher to be utilizing defined learning in one way or another for one project, for 2 projects? Or is my child going to be having a project-based project, however you want to say that, in each class? I'm just kind of looking at it in a perspective of a parent a little bit of my student is, because he has done project-based, and I know it's very difficult for teachers as it is to put together, so I'm glad that there is a platform that's helping them. But how often do you see, you know, is it going to be continual? What's the end goal for project-based learning as far as how many times a day a kid is using that? And maybe you know that, and maybe you don't.
Yeah. Well, in transparency, basically our vision is that, especially when we say that we're an everyday deep learning district, when you talk about 3DE at the high school, our goal is, the reason we started out soft is that we wanted teachers to really use this tool, be able to share that with their peers and say, hey, this is something you really should think about. It's really working for our students. And then eventually from pre-K through 12, since we have a portfolio that would follow each student, which means that they would not repeat the same projects at different grade levels, that our goal would be is that we would have a student to participate in at least one project-based lesson for at least that school year moving forward. So we just want to move slow to go fast. But our goal is that, again, being that everyday deep learning district, that every student in our learning community and our district would have access to project-based learning.
Can I follow up on Jennifer's question?
Sure.
I think that's an interesting question or line you've asked, and that is, if there are overall goals about usage, who are those goals held to? I mean, who are we going to hold accountable for using this product?
So I think that's going to come back to building level principals, directors that supervising principals, because when it comes to implementation, and if implementation is taking place, then when we look at the data and the analysis of whether that's being used and how we can encourage principals and teachers to use that, that's going to come back to the coherence team, which is the deputy superintendent, working with the directors, working with diverse learner superintendent, working with technology. And for us, really, the main goal of that, when you say who's going to be held responsible, is for us to be able to look at the data that we're putting together as far as trying to look at what implementation of systems is in place at the building level, and so that we can be more strategic, that there could be a teacher at a specific building, or it could be a principal at a specific building, that they just need more professional learning in that area for their teachers and for their students to use it. So there is an accountability system that we can look at exactly.
Optional or required?
Well,
If I'm a
right
teacher, optional, or is it going to be required for me to do that?
As of right now, it is not required for our teachers to do that. So we're trying to make sure right now that we're using a model that as teachers see others. So if they have model classrooms within their building, that it will actually take on and have other teachers to do that. So we're not mandating or requiring any teachers to do that.
Following up, we have this goal of being this learning community, right?
Yes.
So we buy this product, and let's just say we're not using it. It's either, I mean, we can think that it's either something that's too difficult to understand, we're too busy to figure out how to use it, or we don't want to use it. We just don't want to use it. We don't care what Ramona says, we just don't want to use it. So I mean, it's really interesting in that. I mean, and when we talked with the superintendent when he wanted this job, he talked about making sure that if we bought things, we were going to use them.
And that's why I really like what you just brought up, Steve, because it comes back to Jack Bird looking at our return on investment. So again, everything that you just pointed out, we first need to make sure, did we provide the correct professional learning?
Right.
And are adults using it because they know how to use it, or are they not using it because we didn't provide or engage adults in the right professional learning? Is it that we use the product and the product just doesn't give or meet the needs that we want it to? So that's going to be the three things as the data analysis team with Jack Bird and Sam that they're going to be looking at. So when I say that right now we've had 16,000 views, with this software I can look at exactly. I know when it's being used. I know how often it's being used.
So you're going to come back and tell us how we're doing in 3 or 4 months?
Sure.
Good, that's a deal.
I like the fact that you did.
Phone, I put that in my calendar.
Well, you did investigate that we have had 16,000 views on the software so far. So, and obviously if you come back in a year and a half or whatever it is for renewal time and it's still only 16,000 views, we know that that's not a good thing to purchase. But what I see as a positive about this, I know with my experience with my own children, is that project-based learning has been not consistent across the district in different schools and even within a building itself with different teachers, just probably because of their how comfortable they feel using project-based learning and that type of thing. So I think it's a great thing, especially at the lower levels, since we are trying to, we are putting our 3DE into our high schools. This is going to be a great first step for them, so they do have experience once they go to the high schools that have our 3DE. So I think it's a great transition into that program.
Thank you.
Any other?
If I have my own awesome idea for a project that, I've been doing for umpteen years, so will this platform also just help me, better design that project?
Yes, thank you for asking that, Julie. So this platform will also, it has the products or the projects that's already there. You can modify those projects as a teacher, so it may be that I like the way this project starts, but there are other components that I want to add. You can also use this same platform if there's a project that you want to do with your students and it's not in the system. You can add that project to the system also.
So I'm going to go back to Steve and Julie's real quick. Ramona, unfortunately for you, you just happen to be this brought up and you're answering those questions for us. But as a board in general, while we're all kind of talking about accountability, I think that that's really an important thing for us to do is maybe come up with a rubric or something that will help us to, as we're renewing things, specific questions. I mean, this is just a general statement to us as we're doing this because we're asking those questions. And in the future, it would also help you, Ramona, knowing that we're going to ask this, and this, what's the usage, what's the whatever. And I know that Jack and Dr. Daniel are working on those kind of systems for us, but I think for us, I think that that's something good to keep in mind so that we're very clear on what we're the accountability piece and everything else to the software that we are purchasing each time.
Is Jack Bird back there? I can't see him.
Yeah, he is.
I'd like that too.
That way we won't have to pepper you with questions whoever's up here each time for those contracts, we can kind of go through those.
I appreciate them. Thank you.
Anything else? It's your last chance. Okay.
Good job.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Ramona.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, and Steve, you have our student furniture for Amp Lab Electric Works and Weiser Park Elementary.
Pull it up again, fell asleep. Here it is. It is recommended that we approve the purchase, here we go. It is recommended the board approve the purchase of student furniture for Amp Lab at Electric Works and Weiser Park Elementary from VS America for a total of $523,848.64. That amount is divided into these amounts: $183,751 for Amp Lab and $340,097.64 for Weiser Park. The purchase will provide workspace and seating in the studios at Amp Lab and classrooms at Weiser Park. The furniture for Amp Lab will provide students the opportunity to work in an innovative and flexible environment that aligns to the vision of the Amp Lab program. The furniture for Weiser Park will replace older, outdated classroom furniture that will provide the capability for teachers to configure their classrooms in collaborative learning groups that aligns with the vision of STEM. The purchase of both units will consist of a mixture of flexible tables, a variety of seating, including chairs and stools, storage units, and collaboration furniture. State law allows for purchases made through competitively bid contracts from approved cooperative purchasing entities. This pricing is from Omnia Partners Co-op and includes an additional 24% price reduction from VS America. The money's coming from our operations fund for the Amp Lab, and then from our magnet grant for Weiser Park. And we have three folks here that can answer our questions. Riley Johnson from Amp Lab's, Melissa Plum, principal at Weiser Park, and Rod Rathke, Director of Purchasing Services, are all here.
Thank you, Steve. Is there a motion on the floor for approval?
Move to approve.
Second.
Thank you, Noah. Thank you, Raleigh. Do we have any questions about the furniture?
So Melissa, does this replace all furniture at Weiser Park? Every classroom, every lab, or? That's a yes. Okay. Okay.
You get new desks or something different?
I'm sorry, what?
Are you getting new desks or something different?
Yes, so actually, when you toured the building, you saw some of that. These are movable, so teachers can put children in all different kinds of spaces, and it'll go through the entire building.
How's delivery times on this, Rod?
That's a timely question.
Stuck on a ship off the coast of California, or?
Or a truck?
Yeah, that's a good question. Delivery times are very slow right now for furniture due to steel and a number of other reasons that we've all read about or hear about on the news. But right now, if this gets approved, I'm going to place the order tomorrow and we'll be good to go for summer installation.
Good.
This might be a question, I don't know, maybe better for Darren, but do we have a replacement schedule for furniture similar to roofing and, other things in our buildings?
Currently, we do not, but we're looking forward to that in the next 3-year CPP plan.
Okay. So does this mean that at Weiser Park, they won't have to put tennis balls on the bottom of classroom student chairs anymore?
No, and the seating is quite different, so if a child has some wiggles, there's stools that wiggle, the chairs will kind of do some rocking.
Nice.
So they're very nice, yes.
All right, cool. So you've tried one?
Yes.
Okay, anything else? Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, Julie, flooring replacement project 2022.
It's recommended that the board approve the following construction contract for 2022 flooring replacement project from Jack Laurie Group. The base bid is $175,000. There's 2 alternates for a total fund, which is identified in the capital projects plan. This recommendation is within the program budget. Project specifications require the work to be complete by July 28, 2022. Questions will be addressed by Director of Facilities Darren Hess, and you can see there were 2 bidders on the project, with Jack Laurie being the lowest bid.
Thank you. Is there a motion on the floor for approval?
Move we approve.
Second.
Thank you, Maria. Thank you, Julie. Any questions for Darren? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
Flooring's not as exciting as furniture.
Yeah, it's not. Physical plant improvement roof projects, Raleigh.
It is recommended that the board approve the following construction contract for roofing at various locations. The company that was awarded the project is Centimark Corporation for a total contract, at Lincoln Elementary Northwood Middle School. Total contract, $558,000. And Fort Wayne Roofing and Sheet Metal, the base bid and an alternate total contract of $341,100, and that's construction, trades, Memorial Park Middle School, Adams Elementary, and Memorial Park. Those are the last 2 alternates. All replacements have been identified in our roof replacement plan, which provides for the replacement of all roof segments over a 25-year period. Martin Riley Architects and Engineers designed the projects. This recommendation is within the program budget and is funded from a combination of the Operations Fund and the 2020 School Basic Renewal Restoration and Safety Project funds. Projects funded from the Operations Fund are identified in the Capital Projects Plan. And Darren is here to answer questions.
Thank you, Raleigh. Is there a motion on the floor for approval?
Move we approve.
Second.
Thank you, Maria. Thank you, Jennifer. Okay, and do we have any questions for Darren?
Darren, in our worksheet, this and one upcoming, we have a number of strikeouts or, I guess, crossovers of different alternatives Can you enlighten me on what that's about? And are they just not interested in doing the work? Is it too?
The alternate prices were additional roof sections that we received bids on, but because of the funding, we're reduced to just the base bid on most of them.
So we're striking those out, not them?
Correct.
And it's, as I think we saw that costs of roofs are really, have been impacted by the current inflation.
Yeah, we did a better assessment of it from the last time we came with the first roof packages, and we're looking at about 56% increase from what we typically are seeing. And that's the hardest hit industry right now on volatile, the roofing products and the insulation.
Are we still on target with your schedule? I know that you have a schedule to sort of, do small projects at a time. With the increase in products and things like that, are we still on schedule with regard to our replacement?
No, this is going to put us further behind, so it'll be something we have to look at in the next 3 years with our funding of, how we allocate more dollars towards roofing to stay on a schedule.
Okay, thanks, Darren.
Anything else?
How far behind would you say you are? Like months or years?
Probably a few years. If this sustains over a number of years, then it's going to set us back, to a point where we have to start doing roof catch-up work again, and we don't want to get to that level.
So you mentioned it's in the products and the labor. What would you say was more, the product or the labor?
It's mainly the products.
The raw materials, right?
Anything else? Okay, thank you, Darren. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, and renovations of Arlington and Lincoln Elementary Schools. It is recommended that the board approve a contract amendment with Michael Kinder & Sons as part of the construction manager as constructor, CMC, contract for the renovations of Arlington and Lincoln Elementary Schools, previously approved on June 28, 2021. The amended contract amount for Michael Kinder & Sons is $13,962,928.29. It is recommended that the board approve the following construction contract for temperature controls at Arlington and Lincoln Elementaries from Automated Logic, $692,143. The projects at Arlington and Lincoln Elementary Schools consist of renovations to provide enclosed classrooms in areas that were originally constructed as open concept. These will include the replacement of windows, mechanical and electrical upgrades as needed to support these improvements with a focus on improving indoor air quality. The contract procurement method for this project is the construction manager as constructor for publicly funded projects as allowable per Indiana Code 532. The initial contract was for architectural and engineering services. This amendment package establishes final overall guaranteed maximum price for the project and will be funded from a combination of elementary and secondary emergency education relief and 2020 school basic renewal restoration and safety project funds. The existing building automation systems or controls are proprietary, and Automated Logic is the single source vendor for this work. Project specifications require the work to be completed by July 28, 2023, and questions again will be addressed by Darren Hess. Are there any questions for Darren?
Are these the only two buildings like this?
Did we do a motion in a second?
Oh, I'm sorry.
To this extent, yes.
I'm going to ask for a motion for approval.
Move approved.
Second?
Thank you.
To this extent,
Stephen,
yes. We have a couple other schools that had smaller pods, and we've been able to enclose those as well.
I'd like to know who came up with the wacky idea of no walls in a classroom, a school building where you have 8-year-olds screaming all the time.
I was 3 years old.
We can honestly say you didn't approve it though, right, Steve?
No, I didn't. This was in the 70s.
Remember, the last building was 1976, yeah, so, yeah,
Yeah.
for your time.
Age of Aquarius, Steve.
You can't blame this one on me.
Any other questions for Darren? Okay, thank you, Darren. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, and Noah, site improvements at Lane and Shawnee Middle Schools.
Is it recommended the board approve the following construction contract for site improvements at Lane and Shawnee Middle Schools? Project includes the addition of parent pickup lanes, including new asphalt drives, concrete walks. Jones Petrie Rafinsky designed the project, and it was funded from the 2016 School Bund Basic Renewal Restoration and Safety Project. Project specifications require the work to be completed by August 5th, 2022. We put out for bid, again, new parent pickup lanes, Wayne Asphalt and Construction, with the base bid of $952,635 is the recommended provider. Any questions to be answered by Darren? Sorry about that.
Thank you, Noah. Is there a motion on the floor for approval?
Move for approval.
Second.
Thank you, Julie. Thank you, Noah. Any questions for Darren?
I have a question for Darren. As I was reviewing this, and you have answered my question, but I think it's important that maybe some other folks, when we do referendums, understand this, because I didn't. It says it'll be funded by the 2016 Building Basic Renewal and Restoration. So my question was, how do we pick that project? You know, this project came up and we had some savings, so we were able to fund this project. And I asked, how do we decide that? And you can answer that question. I think it's important for people to understand the process of how we choose when we do have a savings.
Yeah, first, we must complete the projects within the same buildings that were listed in the referendum. Second, a project like this is a project that we hold back on purpose to save money and also to secure not going over budget for the whole program. So we wait till the project is complete, then go back and finish. So we've done that before with terrazzo refinishing, masonry restoration, masonry cleaning. We also, again, for economics, we saved the general contractor markup on those projects. But it has to align with what we're overall the Building Basic Renewal and Safety Project.
So as far as referendums go, that's important to me to hear, or for anybody publicly watching, is when we've raised that money for that specific referendum and we've put projects in there, that when there is some sort of a saving, we have to go back to those same projects, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. I think that's just a very important thing to know, and I wouldn't have known that. And as a voter, I think that that's important to know. So I appreciate you taking that time to explain that to me. Thank you.
Anything else?
Do we have other monies? Is this kind of the last of the money for that grant?
It's getting really close. We're scraping the bottom of the barrel.
Define close.
Probably one or two more board recs and we're done.
Okay.
And again, I'm assuming cost differential because of asphalt has all these alternates, 1, 2, 3 struck.
That's correct.
You talk, how many million of miles or square feet of roof do we have? I know you guys know that one.
We have about 4 million.
How about asphalt and pavement? Do you know that one?
I believe it's close to the same amount.
Huh.
Anything else?
Does this add, is this redesign of parent pickup lanes or additional parent pickup lanes? Is it going to, I just remember what we did at St. Joe Central and how that significantly reduced the traffic congestion on St. Joe Center Road. So
Yeah.
is that
That's a very good example.
accomplish the same thing here, or?
We have the same parent drop-off area, so the same pickup and drop-off zone is the same location. We're just adding stacking to be able to
Okay.
get more cars off of busy Cook Road and busy
more
Vance Avenue. So,
cars off
yeah,
the road.
it's an
Okay.
expansion of the existing.
Okay.
All right, thank you. Oh, thank you, Darren. I believe our questions are done. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, and our Wayne Stadium improvements, Jennifer?
It is recommended that the board approve the following construction contract for the Wayne High School Stadium. The work will include installation of synthetic turf, replacement of the perimeter concrete walks, subsurface stormwater drainage, and the replacement of the latex running track, and the relocation/refurbishing of the track field events. The Moats Group has been awarded the contract of $1,752,803. The project was designed and procured through the Wilson Education Foundation, an Indiana-approved educational purchasing cooperative program. Engineering Resources, Inc. assisted with the project's civil design and approval with the local authorities. This recommendation is within the program budget and is funded from a combination of the Operations Fund and the 2020 School Basic Renewal Restoration and Safety Project Funds Bond. Project funded from the Operations Fund are identified in the Capital Projects Plan. Project specifications require the work to be complete by August 3rd, 2020. And again, Darren will answer our questions.
Thank you. Is there a motion on the floor for approval?
Move approved.
Second.
Thank you, Noah. Thank you, Julie. And do we have questions for Darren?
So I'm trying to remember the Northrop turf field, because this is Wayne turf field, which I'm hopeful they're excited about. And I know it looks like we're doing more work to Wayne than what they did with the Northrop. Like if I'm trying to compare apples to apples.
Yeah, it's essentially the same work. At Northrop, it was funded and constructed in 3 different budget years. But essentially, it's the same work, same scope.
Just done in 1 year?
Correct.
Okay. Again, because I'm beating you up on pricing and stuff, how does the turf part compare to, particularly as we have laid out a plan for the other schools to receive turf, how does that compare price-wise for Wayne to Northrop?
It was very comparable, actually.
Okay.
So we were very pleasantly surprised with that.
Good.
Darren, does this contract include any maintenance of the turf, or is that a separate deal?
It does include it's a 8-year, which is the warranty of the turf. They come every year, they do a deep cleaning, they inspect it, they fix any tears or seams, anything like that, and rake the infill material.
Is there any work that we have to do in between those year?
Yeah, we're provided with a rake that we haul behind a ATV, and we there's in the tufts of the grass, there's rubber granules, and over time they get kicked out of place, and you have to level it out. So after each, like once every week, you rake the field.
Instead of mowing it.
With respect to the running track, is this what Charles competed on, or have we updated it since he was there 50 years ago?
Not far off.
Huh?
I said, you're not far off.
You didn't run on cinders?
Yes.
I ran
Middle
lane
school.
on cinders 1 year.
Middle school, right?
Definitely.
I ran lane on cinders 1 year.
Right, junior high.
Anything else for Darren?
Thank you, Darren.
All right, thank you. And all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, and our next item is a resolution in support of students and teachers and opposition to Indiana House Bill 1134. It is recommended that the Board of Trustees pass a resolution to support students' freedom to learn and educators as professionals to teach, as well as oppose Indiana House Bill 1134. House Bill 1134 is currently being considered by the Indiana General Assembly. The resolution outlines the board's reasons for opposition to the bill and implores legislators to vote against it. And I'm going to read our resolution, and then I will ask for a roll call vote if our board members want to make any comments about this at that time. They are welcome to do so. It's a resolution in support of students' freedom to learn and to stand with educators as professionals. Whereas public schools are a place where children of different places and races learn from the past, make sense of the present, and prepare for the future. Whereas our children deserve the freedom to learn and develop the skills to reckon with our past, shape a better future, and pursue their dreams. Whereas Fort Wayne Community Schools stands against censoring the truth of our history. Whereas Fort Wayne Community Schools believes our community is stronger when every child has the freedom to learn, grow, and thrive. Whereas the Indiana Department of Education outlines curriculum and teaching standards that deliver high-quality curricula that teach the full sweep of U.S. history and equip teachers and students to develop their understanding of the world and their ability to make meaningful change in it. Whereas Fort Wayne Community Schools values our educators who, through pedagogically sound, age-appropriate curricula and teaching standards, help students understand our collective past, spark curiosity and critical thinking, and prepare all students to meet the challenges of our multicultural present and future. Whereas HB 1134 has become Indiana's legislative reaction to unfounded accusations that critical race theory, or CRT, is being taught in Indiana's public schools, testimony uncovered no case of teaching CRT. Whereas HB 1134 requires an unmanageable posting of bibliographical or other information necessary to identify specific curricular resources and a summary of educational activities disaggregated by grade level, teacher, and subject on a public website before the resource is used or the activity is conducted by a public school employee. Whereas HB 1134 requires that every public school district create a curriculum materials advisory committee made up of 60% parents, some appointed by the school board as a whole and one parent by each board member individually, with no guaranteed teacher representation except for one spot on the entire committee. Whereas HB 1134 prohibits public schools or their employees from promoting 8 separate concepts full of subjectivity, ill-defined, vague, and selective in their application, rendering them unworkable in real-world classrooms of today. Whereas HB 1134 authorizes a variety of circumstances in which an individual can initiate a civil action against the school district for violations that are unworkable prohibitions based on subjective, ill-defined, vague, and selective concepts that may or may not have been discussed in the classroom. Whereas HB 1134 calls for the suspension or revocation of a teacher's license based upon willful or wanton violations of unworkable prohibitions that are based on subjective, ill-defined, vague, and selective in their applications concepts. Whereas HB 1134 prohibits the school board or superintendent from having any of its employees engage in any kind of training that could be interpreted to violate these unworkable prohibitions, all of which are subjective, ill-defined, vague, and selective in their application, calling into question the scheduling of any kind of professional development centered on cultural competency, diversity, and/or racial inequalities. Whereas HB 1134 micromanages teacher-student discussions in classes when it strikes a provision in existing law that permits a teacher without prior written parent approval to ask a student to question that may reveal the student's opinions or feelings as long as the inquiry is directly related to academic instruction, thereby rendering a teacher powerless to survey a student on something as simple as what is your opinion about the book you just read without prior written consent of the parent. Whereas HB 1134 amends Indiana's existing specific curricular statutes, including Indiana's cultural competency and academic standards laws, to specify that none of these laws may violate the prohibited concepts, even as the concepts are unworkable, subjective, ill-defined, vague, and selective in their application. Whereas HB 1134 fails to recognize or honor the current system that public schools all over the state have in place to address parental concern over curriculum, materials, and instruction. A system requires more meaningful conversations to occur between parents and schools. Whereas HB 1134 prohibits a school, school district, or teacher from requiring a student as part of a course to adopt, affirm, or adhere to a particular position on an issue, rendering speech and debate classes unworkable. Whereas HB 1134 severely limits the professional judgment of a school employee in dealing with emotional issues that students share with them. Let it be resolved that the Fort Wayne Community Schools Board of School Trustees is in support of students' freedom to learn and stands with educators as professionals to teach. Furthermore, let it be resolved that we are in opposition to Indiana House Bill 1134 and any similar legislation. Is there a motion on the floor for approval?
I move approval.
Second.
Thank you, Raleigh. Thank you, Maria. And we will do a roll call vote on this. Steve?
I'm voting for the resolution. This is a bad bill. It's an insult to our teachers. It's a bill that amounts to censorship of our classrooms, instruction. And Friday, when we had a chance to meet with some of our area legislators, I invited them to come into our classrooms and see what we're doing, because I'm not sure what they're hearing and what they took into consideration as they developed this bill, but they need to find out the truth. And so we need to have them in our classrooms and let them see firsthand the first-class operation that we run in our district. No, I'm voting for this resolution.
Thank you, Steve. Julie?
Yes, I also vote in favor of this resolution. The Indiana State House was packed today by teachers and other supporters of public education. It's one of the reasons that a lot of us wore red to support public education. I believe this bill will be heard in committee on Wednesday. And I think this bill is a solution in search of a problem. Schools already have mechanisms in place for parents to object to curriculum, to object to classroom materials, to give a student maybe an alternative reading assignment. Again, this has not been a problem in Indiana, and I think, as Steve said, it's an insult to teachers and their profession and their preparation. And it's also really an insult to students, that they cannot be trusted to handle, for high school students, adult conversations, or for younger students to handle sometimes difficult conversations and difficult topics. I mean, I would argue that if this bill would pass, you could not teach the original U.S. Constitution as it was written. You couldn't teach a court case like Plessy versus Ferguson. You couldn't teach the reason and the origin of the Electoral College, because that would make some students feel inferior to others. So, like Steve said, this is a bad bill, and I vote for the resolution.
Thank you, Julie. Jennifer?
Jennifer Mathias, District 2, and I vote for this resolution. There are so many things that I could say. Steve and Julie have said a few of them, but as a parent in this district, I've chosen this district and I've chosen public schools for a reason, and that is diversity as one of my reasons. I believe that in order for us to all be better, we have to learn and grow from every part of history that is presented to us, and I believe that my children and all of our children in our district deserve to learn about history and the truth of history. I also believe that my child should be able to go into a library and select a book that they're doing research on, or whatever it may be. They should be able to select the book that they're looking for, and I think that that's very subjective of what people believe is inappropriate. As a parent, I would look over the book, and that would be my choice. I may not pick a different book that Julie would pick or Maria would pick for and that's their choice. I don't believe that anybody should be, banning books. I also have a student who wants to be a teacher, and as I'm looking for all the wonderful things that our district is doing to expand and grow our community, strong schools are at the heart of that, and you know, we're developing kids to do all different kinds of things. And my child who wants to be a teacher, I see this as distrust and a disregard for these professionals. There are no laws written for what I do. I'm not a doctor, so that doesn't fall into that. But I tried to have this conversation the other day with our legislator of my child who wants to be a teacher, and how do I support a $100,000 education plus for her to go and then be up against this. So as we're looking to grow our communities and have our children come back to this community, if my daughter wants to be a teacher, I would tell her to look elsewhere than Indiana, because I don't feel like our teachers are being supported the way they should be, and that they are not being valued with these bills that are coming out as over and over. So I support this resolution.
Thank you, Jennifer. Maria?
I am also voting in support of the resolution. I know as a graduate from Fort Wayne Community Schools that there were guidance counselors and teachers who looked out for me and had conversations with me that if this bill were passed, I wouldn't have been able to have those conversations. And they weren't anything crazy. I mean, they weren't telling me who to vote for or anything like that. It was college stuff and how do I feel about going away from home. They were asking me questions that my parents didn't know to ask because they didn't go to college themselves. And every day when I send my son into his school, I trust the principal and all of the staff members in that building to have a conversation with him, because about him as much as I care about him. And so I would hate for our district to not realize those relationships because of poor legislation. I echo everything that my colleagues have already said. And I am in full support of the resolution.
Thank you, Maria. Raleigh?
I'm really happy to support this resolution. I know that each one of us individually have been very vocal and active in trying to get the word out and encourage the community to become involved and kind of reach out to legislators. So I think it's fantastic that we're here together showing our support for our families, of our students, and for the teachers who are in our schools. I was able to talk to a legislator as well last week, and one of the things that I shared with him is that I believe that engaging in conversations and providing different opinions and sharing experiences, even at the risk of being uncomfortable sometimes, it really helps to promote understanding and empathy, and that's what we need to grow a better community and a better country. And so, again, I'm very, very happy to support this resolution.
Thank you, Raleigh. Noah?
I support this resolution, so I vote yes. You know, some of the things that you rattled off here, again, as part of our resolution, just don't really make sense to me. And as Julie said, I think it was Julie, maybe Steve, that this seems to be a solution looking for a problem. The biggest impact I believe this will have, and I'm not a teacher, I don't have teacher families, and maybe Sandra can speak to this, and I've asked Julie this, would this impact our ability to attract and retain teachers? And I unequivocally believe so. And, you know, we're already in a teacher shortage, teacher crisis, so to speak. As Jennifer said, the state continues to unfortunately not show any kind of respect for the teaching profession. It just continues to appear to do so. I can't claim anything else. And so because of that reason, I roundly support this, because, you know, we have to start changing the narrative, and we have to be supportive of where 90% of our kids are educated in the state of Indiana, because they're our future. And, you know, we all have kids, most of us all have kids up here. And as Jennifer said, it's getting to the point where, you know, do they want to come back to Indiana because of what we've established, especially in education? I have a good friend who's gone to Texas from Indiana and taught down there, and there was a world of difference, she said, about how she was treated, how she was paid, the working conditions, just night and day difference. So we need to change the narrative in Indiana, and hopefully this is a step in that direction.
Thank you, Noah. I also support this resolution and vote yes. Last Thursday, I attended New Tech's anti-racism event they had at St. Francis, and this was like a culmination art event for their unit on racism. And the unit included discussion of the 13th Amendment, Brown versus the Board of Education, the Three-Fifths Compromise, and they had Socratic discussions on these topics, not only with their classmates, but they also brought in people in the community. And during this unit, they brought up issues where students didn't always agree with each other, where these people in the community didn't agree with students or each other, but they also found similarities and differences. They learned how to discuss sensitive issues in a productive way. And as I looked at their art projects, it was apparent that this activity was eye-opening for many of the students, and it also gave them empathy for their fellow classmates. Students talked to each other about racism and what effect it had had on them. One student took pictures of their classmates, all students of color, and overlaid their picture then with the words that that student had said. And she said she put those words out there because she wanted to share their stories and give them a voice. And the words that I read were unforgettable. One student said that he feels he can be seen as a threat based on the color of his skin or his body movements. Another student was told this by another person: "I'm proud of you for not stealing. You're not like those other black people." One student who talked about his dad being interrogated by the police and not knowing what would happen to his dad, knowing that he was indeed innocent. The student who displayed these pieces of art said that she had known these students for her entire life, but had never known these stories. And so she was happy that she could tell these stories, but she also gained insight about racism, obviously. I'm really proud of the teachers for letting these children learn these valuable lessons and gain these insights. And these stories need to be shared. The difficult conversations need to be heard. This is how our children learn empathy, how they develop the skills to get along with others and learn about others and their stories that they may keep inside. And so if this bill were to pass, our children may never hear these important stories or have these crucial conversations. So this is one of the many reasons why I support this resolution against HB 1134. And when I asked the teacher at this event, one of the teachers, I said, what would happen to this event should HB 1134 pass? And his comment was, well, it would be illegal. I could go to jail. Well, that's probably not true. It just shows you what fear this bill has put into our teachers. So the passage of any bill like this, even amended, gutted, whatever they say they're going to do to it, still will put our teachers in fear. We will lose them from this profession. The message has been sent. This bill needs to be voted down by our legislature. So.
Hey, Ann?
Yes.
Am I correct that anti-racism event, wasn't that in conjunction with St. Francis University?
They were just
Or they just sponsored it?
Location, right.
Okay.
Yeah, they needed a venue, and St. Francis
Gotcha.
was happy to have them.
But of course, the bill would not apply to any private,
Exactly.
yeah,
No private
school or university, only public schools.
Right.
But, point of reference, Julie, don't private schools sometimes get state dollars, public dollars?
Let's think about that.
That aren't accounted for, by the way. Okay, so our resolution then has passed. Thank you. And so we will move on now.
Madam President?
Yes, sir.
I think we need to approve the consent agenda. We didn't approve it.
Oh, we didn't?
No.
Then why did I think we did? No, we didn't. Okay, so we'll go back to our agenda.
We had a motion and a second, but we never voted, right?
Right.
Okay, I guess I imagined that. So, we Consent agenda, that was the minutes, vouchers, and payroll, personnel report. Is there, we had a motion, so all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you. Now we can move on, correct? So graduation pathways, Shanita Bolton, Director of K-12 College and Career Readiness, Amelia Flieger, Curriculum Coordinator of K-12 High Ability Advanced Placement Dual Credit and Fine Arts, and Adrian Schroyer, Guidance Coordinator at Snyder, along with Jesse Webb, Principal, Career Center at Anthus, will present on pipelines, graduation pathways, offerings at the Career Center at Anthus, and Fortin Community Schools, traditional high schools, as well as the new course handbook.
Good evening, President Duff, Dr. Daniels, school board officers, members, and viewing audience. As a school district, Dr. Daniels' vision of developing pipelines that align to Indiana pathways and economic development in this region and beyond has called us to task for the benefit of all Fort Wayne community students and this community. Tonight, we will share with you the collaborative work between the College and Career Readiness Department, school-based counselors, curriculum department, building and central office administrators, and the Career Academy at Anthus. The power of this group is leading the way as we stop focusing on just preparing students for graduation, but instead, with a laser focus, prepare our students with the skills, knowledge, tools, and capabilities to be successful the Monday after graduation. The presentation tonight is a work in progress along Fort Wayne Community Schools' journey of ensuring we educate all students to high standards, enabling them to become productive, responsible citizens. At this time, I'd like to introduce Shanita Bolton, the Director of College and Career Readiness, Adrian Schroyer, Counseling Coordinator at Snyder High School, Amelia Flieger, Curriculum Coordinator for K-12 High Ability, and Jesse Webb, Principal/Director of the Career Academy at Anthus.
Thank you, Dr. Robbins. And good evening, President Duff, board members, Superintendent Daniel. We are delighted to have this opportunity to speak with you this evening regarding pathways and pipelines, a framework for college and career readiness. Tonight, we'd like to give you some background on pathways and pipelines. We'll speak to Indiana graduation pathways, next level programs of study, stackable credentials, and interest for younger students. We will also share with you academic courses and career handbook that is new this year. As you know, in 2018, the Indiana State Board of Education adopted the Indiana Graduation Pathways. Per the State Board of Education, the focus was to create an educated and talented workforce able not just to meet the needs of business and higher education, but to succeed in all post-secondary endeavors. To account for the rapidly changing global economy, every student, K-12 student, needs to be given the tools to succeed in some form of quality post-secondary education and training, including industry-recognized certification programs, associate degree programs, or bachelor degree programs, beginning with the class of 2023. Adrian Schroyer, Guidance Coordinator for Snyder High School, will share detailed information with you regarding the Indiana graduation pathways. Departments across Fort Wayne Community Schools, including the Pre-K-12 College and Career Readiness Office, Curriculum, Assessment, Career Academy, Office of School Leadership, Principals, Guidance Coordinators, Counselors, and others, collaborated to ensure that the district was fully prepared to implement the new Indiana graduation pathways. We planned and informed our students, families, and community about the new Indiana graduation pathways through a wide variety of presentations at Fort Wayne Community Schools, local churches, youth-serving organizations, and a wide variety of other places. including the Family and Community Engagement Center. Guidance coordinators and counselors intentionally work closely together and receive professional learning to ensure students were equipped with the knowledge, skills, and abilities to meet the new graduation requirements, as well as introducing the new 16 national career clusters. These are nationally recognized and include agriculture, food and natural resources, architecture and construction, arts AV, technology and communications, business management and administration, education and training, finance, government and public administration, health science, hospitality and tourism, human services, information technology, law, public safety, corrections and security, manufacturing, marketing, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, and lastly, transportation, distribution, and logistics. The curriculum department ensured college and career readiness curriculum was woven throughout K-12 instruction to prepare our students for the future. This year, our superintendent and deputy superintendent charged a committee, including the pre-K college and career readiness office, curriculum, assessment and instruction, the AMP lab director, career academy principal, office of school leadership, principals, assistant principals, guidance coordinators, and the technology office to systematically implement 6 of the career clusters. We fondly know them as our FWCS pipelines into our curriculum and provide meaningful experiential learning for students. These 6 pipelines include health sciences, teaching, e-commerce, IT and data analytics, and trades and manufacturing. 2 pipelines will be launched each academic year till the year 25-26 school year, beginning with health, science, and teaching this fall. Guidance coordinators and counselors meet very closely with 8th through 12th graders to develop meaningful future plans. This process helps students to define their college and career goals and select courses that align with these goals. We recognize that guidance counseling is a factor of developing and adjusting students' future plans and their interests that shift and change over the years. The Pre-K-12 College and Career Readiness Office works closely with the guidance offices, resulting in an increased number of programs, workshops, college and career visits, career academy visits, internships and job shadowing opportunities to provide our students and help them connect their academic everyday learning with post-secondary opportunities. Through pathways and pipelines, Fort Wayne Community Schools is providing a framework to better ensure that students are college and career ready and prepared for an ever-changing world. At this time, I would like to introduce to you Adrian Schroyer, Guidance Coordinator at Snyder High School, who will share information with you regarding Indiana graduation pathways.
Thank you, Shanita, and good evening, board members, Dr. Daniel. Although the new Indiana graduation pathways are officially for the current junior class, we have been granted implementation approval for a few years now. In the past, theoretically, a student could graduate in the state of Indiana if they earned all required credits for their diploma and passed that year's graduation qualifying exam. Indiana educators in our communities realized this did not automatically equate to students being prepared for any and all the skills necessary for success beyond high school. Indiana graduation pathway requirements hold our graduates to a higher standard and provide a framework that ensures our Fort Wayne Community Schools graduates are truly college and career ready. Regardless if they are seeking four-year college, two-year college, military, trades, apprenticeships, or entrance into the workforce after graduation. The Indiana graduation pathways are separated into 3 different domains. Domain 1, diploma requirements. Domain 2, employability skills. And Domain 3, post-secondary readiness. Under Domain 1, diploma requirements, we focus on the credits that our students must earn. There's minimal change here as students are still required to earn mandated credits in English, math, science, social studies, health, physical education. Although we now operate under one Indiana diploma, our students are provided with the opportunity to earn different diploma distinctions, so Core 40, academic honors, and technical honors. For Domain 2, employability skills, although we encourage students to work towards multiple of these categories under employability skills, students must satisfy at least one of the following. So project-based learning, service-based learning, or work-based learning. Project-based learning is demonstrated by successful completion of project-based learning PLTW courses. We offer biomedical sciences, computer sciences, and our new tech program at Wayne High School. Next year, we'll be offering additional ways students can meet this domain with successful participation in our new AMP lab at Electric Works, 3DE programs at Snyder and Northside High Schools. Service-based learning is earned through successful participation in athletics, performing arts, or meaningful volunteer programs that are approved by the state. Work-based learning is earned through successful part-time employment, paid or unpaid internships, successful participation in one of our many career programs. Domain 3, post-secondary readiness skills. Similar to Domain 1, although students are required to meet only one component, we encourage students to meet multiple qualifiers here. Post-secondary readiness skills can be demonstrated by earning an academic or technical honors diploma, meeting qualifying SAT or ASVAB scores, earning a state or industry-recognized certification. These are typically earned at our Career Center. CTE concentrators, which are predetermined clusters of career and technical education courses in one concentrated area. These opportunities are available in our high schools, but they are also offered at the Career Center, and an AMP lab will be another additional avenue for our students next year. And then the last qualifier for Domain 3 is for students to successfully take 3 or more college-level courses while they are in high school. This can be met through AP courses in their exams or college courses at our high school or on the college campus. As we are preparing for the scheduling season and for next year's courses when we sit down with our students, Fort Wayne Community School counselors individually meet with students to help them understand the many opportunities that we have for them, and we assist them in choosing their path to graduation. Counselors are required to track and upload verification documents for each student. We currently use an online tracking system called Standards for Success. Although there are many additional opportunities, rules, and expectations that surround and govern our new Indiana graduation pathways, I hope this gave you a brief outline of the different paths our students are experiencing today.
I just had a question, unless you want to complete your thought there.
Oh, no, that was it. I was ready to.
Because Domain 1 and 3 seem pretty cut and dry, but with Domain 2, do they have requirements as far as how many hours, like for the service-based learning or for the work-based learning?
So for service-based learning, for instance, if it's a full athletic season, so it doesn't mean you do and participate in that athletic event or, athletic season every year. So one full season, and the coach does sign off and verify that the student qualified.
So just one season in my 4 years?
One season in your 4 years. Again, as you know, most students do not just do one season, or they switch to different sports or different activities. Students, when it comes to performing arts, same requirement, is that they must be involved for an entire season successfully. And if they're doing a community volunteer project, this is not a one-shot, like, I'm going to go donate blood, and there I volunteered. So it is, I'm going to present a or a volunteer opportunity to my school, and I will get a committee together. I will, propose it, and I will implement it, and even have some after-action review of the volunteer activity that we did.
So wouldn't that go against HB 1134 as we understand it?
Yeah. So if I have a job, does that count for my work, like
Yes.
work-based learning then?
And paid or unpaid internships too.
So you said guidance counselors are keeping track of all this for each student?
And you have a standards for success, is that where you said you'd keep track of that?
Yes, it is a program online that we have every student that is enrolled in our high school. I have access to see each domain, and our counselors go in and input. We'll have it open when we schedule with the students as well. So we'll have that up for them. We will go through it with them, show them where they have satisfied each category. They then, of course, update us on different things and additional areas of where they've met, and we then get verification and have to scan it and upload it onto their account. We have transferability throughout our school district for all of our high schools, and also any other schools that use standards for success.
What happened? Go ahead.
So did the district itself have to purchase the standards for success? Was that you may not know that.
I do. I believe it was through our gear up. I'm gonna let you.
That's okay. So you've heard the presentation earlier this year about the Gear Up program when I did an update, and we were able to purchase that platform through the Gear Up funds.
So
But the state didn't fund it.
But the state didn't fund it.
No.
It's a requirement for the state, but that's what I was trying to get to.
Correct.
Unfunded mandate.
Yes.
Exactly.
They don't provide any resources for tracking.
So
That's
if we
up to the
didn't have
district.
a grant that helped us pay for it, we're going to have to figure out where those funds are coming from.
That is correct.
Thank you.
So what happens if a student transfers in from out of state just for their senior year? And of course, they're unaware of these requirements. The diploma probably would be no problem, but
Not
is there any
always.
waiver for
Sometimes
anything?
it's problems. Regardless, we'll have new students right now that enter as seniors from out of state. So we still try, to earn the graduation pathway.
Sure.
If we have a student that came from another state, their senior year, there is a waiver for that exact situation.
Okay.
And I'll say that if prior to having SFS, we did it all by big binders and papers and counselors emailing each other back when a student
Sure.
transferred, which happened quite frequently. So this system has been very, very helpful.
So it's my understanding, so in each of those domains, they just have to check off one box?
Yeah.
Okay, so can we go to domain 3 then? And if my student is in honors class and they take 3 AP dual credit cards, then they wouldn't really have to take the SAT?
Correct. They would not have to. Just
They have
like
to take
domain 2, we do encourage, especially students, if they want to tell us that they are earning an honors diploma, so I don't have to do anything else. In the unfortunate situation at the very last minute, if a grade second semester senior year did not qualify them for an honors diploma, we want to have as many, backups, and we don't think it's a bad idea to have other credentials with you as you're graduating.
I understand that. I just know that all of our juniors will be taking the SAT
Yes.
this year, right? And that is how I'm understanding it, that's how our district will be judged on the SAT. That is our new accountability test, is that correct?
Correct.
Regardless of whether my child is going to be using that or not, that is the standard. So that is a college entrance exam. But not all of our children are going. So we're putting, that is, okay.
What is the score they have to get on the SAT, the same as the score they have to, the cut score on the SAT?
They have not yet determined the actual cut score, and someone can correct me, but the state of Indiana said after they have given the test, that's when they start determining actual.
So, but will those two things be the same?
We have cut scores for SAT, ACT, ASVAB now based on the Saturday SAT or ACT. So the SAT that we are giving during the school day is a digital version, which will be new for us too. If anyone else needs to add anything on that one.
So so you do know a score to meet this pathway, and what's that score for the SAT and ACT?
Okay, each test is different. It'll say you have to have a score of this in English and or this in science or this in math. It's not as simple as, oh, here's your score.
Okay.
So it breaks it down in different categories too.
So Adrian, I wasn't a great student. I was just kind of okay. And I think I could do it in 1 and 3, but let's say I just go to school and that's it. How does the school control domain 2, or how do you encourage it?
I mean, obviously that's a really good question. From their freshman year on, we explain the importance before pathways of getting involved in your school and getting involved in things outside the classroom to make sure that your resume of your experiences so far when you graduate don't just reflect grades on a transcript. So we pushed that before this was in place. I feel like our students, we do work with some students that we go out of our way to find things that they can connect with and enjoy that are not taught right within our walls.
So this is the class of 2023, so juniors this year
Current juniors.
are the ones going to be, they're going to be first impacted by this, right? Do you have any sense in that class or the classes below?
Like, will this help us or hurt us or?
Not necessarily. I guess I'm just curious, again, on this employability skills, which I don't think is a bad idea, but how we as a district, how you as a guidance counselor, how we can control that, oversee and monitor that. Do you have any sense of
I mean,
how it's
I
going with
think
this class?
even for us, I don't think it's as hard as you think or that you're imagining. With our project-based learning opportunities, we have a lot of students that are earning it. And, we have over 100 AMP Lab, students ready to go for AMP Lab just in our building. So, and we'll have more interested once we sit down with every single student. So when we walk through this with them, it's honestly, like I said, it's not as hard. And we really encourage them to be involved in our community. So whether it's their churches, youth groups, we have so many different programs that we offer in our buildings. It doesn't seem hard for kids to find one thing. Even with esports, esports counts.
The other thing I did want to share is while this is mandated to begin with the class of 2023, we did actually implement right after it became available to us. So this is our 3rd year now of utilizing it, and many of our students have met this requirement. Also for Fort Wayne Community Schools, we have a high percentage of students who are employed and work part-time jobs. So for that domain 2, they're fulfilling that work-based learning piece.
So do you ask those kids that, hey, or if you're not doing it, you're not in sports, you're not in band, you're not whatever, are you working?
Yes. So one of the great things with our guidance counseling staff is as they are working closely with students, they are constantly touching base with domain 1, 2, and 3. And part of that is keeping track of, are they involved in those project-based learning, service-based learning, or that work-based learning?
How do you have to document that?
So that's all done through Standard for Success, as Adrian mentioned prior.
But what does a kid or family have to bring to provide proof of, hey, I'm working?
So in regards to the service-based and for the work-based learning, there is a document that we actually worked together, the guidance coordinators, myself, to put together. And those students can fill that out, or it can be done electronically as well as an upload.
Okay, I'll stop after this.
Okay.
Will 3DE be a work and based learning like PLTW?
It will count.
Okay.
So I'm going to move us forward. I don't want to cut off questions, but we still have a lot to share. So we're going to go ahead and turn this over to Jesse Webb, who will present now.
Thank you, Shanita and Adrian. Good evening, board members, Dr. Daniel, and community. As Faye and Shanita and Adrian have talked about, we are working on ways to better prepare students for the Monday after graduation. One thing you can look at, Domain 3 right here, and the Career Academy can actually help with 3 of those bullets as I was just looking at it. State and industry certifications, CTE concentrator, and dual credit courses. That wasn't originally what I was going to talk about fully, but as I looked at that, I'm like, wow, that's crazy. And then we have Domain 2. So yeah, so career and technical education is very, very important, I think, for students moving forward. So next level programs of study. The Governor's Workforce Cabinet, in conjunction with the Indiana Department of Education, created these next level programs of study to meet the needs of the requirements for Perkins 5, which is our federal grant that we operate under. Next level programs of study are really put in place for the 2025 cohort. They came out in the spring, and we actually rolled them into implementation this fall to give us a couple years to refine and make sure that we were ready to go with those next level programs of study. So next level programs of study allow CTE courses to be offered in a multitude of ways. So they can be offered at comprehensive high schools in a sequential order. So next level programs of study are made up of 3 courses: a principles course, concentrator A, and a concentrator B. Each of those courses gives 1 credit per semester, so 2 credits per year, for a total of 6, which is currently what we've done with career and technical education courses at the Career Center before. So by allowing comprehensive high schools to offer these programs in a sequential order, or having the Career Centers offer those concurrently, you're giving more options for students to meet Domain 3 of the graduation pathways. So at the Career Academy, as I said, we offer those concurrently. So we take all 3 of those next level program and study courses for a pathway, and we lump them all together. Perkins 5 also states that area CTE providers must complete a comprehensive local needs assessment every 2 years. The Career Academy just completed that process, and we submitted our comprehensive local needs assessment in January. With that work, we were able to determine which of the career pathway programs should be offered either at the Career Academy or can be offered at comprehensive high schools and at the Career Academy at the same time. So we may have some duplicate programs happening at our comprehensive schools. We want to meet the needs of Allen County and Northeast Indiana with career and technical education. As we all know, trades are, the job force is opening up as those individuals start to retire. We need to kind of prepare students to fill those roles. So by being able to offer these programs, we're looking at how do we meet industry needs, and the Comprehensive Local Needs Assessment has helped us with that. So meeting the needs of business and industry is very important to CTE. If we are truly preparing students for the Monday after graduation, we need to make sure that our CTE programs are aligned to the proper dual credits and state and industry recognized certifications. So each one of our programs, and as it goes for career and technical education programs, they should all be aligned with dual credits. So there's those 3 dual credit courses that meet Domain 3. And we also have state and industry recognized certifications that students can meet. We also have advisory boards that we work with. So career and technical education programs have an advisory board that contains members from business and industry, higher education, and just community members as a whole. These stackable credentials give students a leg up when deciding which direction they want to go for their graduation or what they want to do when they graduate from high school. Dual credits allow them to continue their education, and certifications prepare them for the workforce. Or they can do both. So they could learn the trade, have that certification that allows them to work, and then later on, a year or two down the road, they may decide that they want to go back and take some classes to further their education. So it's really a win-win for students moving forward. As we look at the future, we want to continue to prepare our younger generation of students to fill openings that we're seeing in trades. So we are collaborating with College and Career Readiness to provide tours of our Career Academy programs. Just this school year in the fall, we had about 500 FWCS 8th and 10th graders that toured our Career Academy programs. And in the last week, we've had 100 other students, 8th and 10th graders, that have toured our programs, and we have another 200 lined up here in the next week or two that we'll go through and see what we offer at the Career Academy. So it's a great opportunity to show students what is available besides the traditional pathways that are found at comprehensive high schools. We're also working to collaborate with youth service organizations such as YMCA after-school programs, Parks and Rec, Boys and Girls Club, and the Jim Kelly Career Pathway Center to provide informational and enrichment programs for elementary and middle school programs. Prior to the pandemic, we had a plan to provide CTE skills boot camps in the summer. Those plans have now resurfaced. We are looking to collaborate with College and Career Readiness Department to provide those opportunities for incoming 9th and 10th graders this summer. We will most likely have skills boot camps for construction trades, health science, culinary arts, cosmetology, early childhood education, welding, and automotive. So more information on those will come this spring regarding the opportunities for students to sign up for those opportunities. It's a really exciting time for career and technical education, not only in Indiana, but I think nationwide. And next up is Mrs. Amelia Flieger, Curriculum Coordinator of K-12 High Ability, to talk about the academic courses and career handbook.
Thank you, Jesse, and good evening, board members, Dr. Daniel. As the direction of our district moved toward implementing the 16 career clusters to meet the requirements of the Indiana graduation pathway, our Pathways Pipeline Committee was formed and charged by the superintendent and deputy superintendent with improving our course handbook to reflect our district's emphasis on college and careers. As a result, the academic courses and career handbook has been developed. This handbook has been modeled after District 214 in Illinois, which developed a comprehensive handbook reflecting the 16 career clusters. Our academic courses and career handbook also has each of the 16 clusters listed in detail with possible career and degree options, as well as local salary information. Specific pathway and course progressions in health sciences and the teaching pathway pipeline will be present in every high school for the 2022 and 23 school year, with other career clusters pipelines being added in the coming years. In addition, our academic courses and career handbook has course progressions and requirements for each grade level for each of our high schools' program of study. Finally, detailed course descriptions, as outlined by the Indiana Department of Education, are provided for all Fort Wayne Community School classes. In the course descriptions are the required and recommended prerequisites, if any, the total number of credits that can be earned, as well as how the course meets a specific diploma requirement. All of these improvements provide opportunities for our students to be proactive with their course selection so they are applying the practical knowledge needed to know where they are going to be in the future, but more specifically, the Monday after graduating high school. The improvement and creation of the academic courses and career handbook could not have been done without the collaboration of many departments. Special thanks to our communications department, who has worked tirelessly to create a professional grade academic courses and career handbook from cover to cover. Also, thank you to our pre-K-12 college and career readiness director for her leadership, to curriculum, assessment, and instruction for the review and revision of all courses updated by the Indiana Department of Education, our AMP Lab director, our Career Academy principal, the Office of School Leadership, alternative programs, the principals, assistant principals, and guidance coordinators for their work in providing course progressions for their program of study, as well as our Chief Systems Officer. Without all of these people and departments working together, we would not have been able to produce such an outstanding product. Here are some examples of pages from the academic courses and career handbook. You can see the career clusters page that outlines all 16 career clusters, the specific education and training page listing college majors, degree and career options, and salary ranges, our high school programs of study page, and finally, an example of education, profession, pathway, and pipeline, and its course progression and requirement example. Please know that the academic courses and career handbook will be available after tonight's board meeting at fwcs.info/academic-courses.
Please say that again.
Again, fwcs.info/academic-courses. We thank you for your time this evening, and we welcome any questions that you may have for everyone about our work.
Sure about that?
Well, I want to start by saying thank you. That handbook looked great. And I would just add that the state legislature thinks that there's a lack of transparency. So
All right there,
it
isn't
looked
it?
beautiful.
In
Thank you
living
so
color.
much for all your work.
So I have a question about the handbook. So it'll be available to all of our students, parents, and anybody
Yes.
watching at this point, right after this?
Mhm.
And then as our kids are middle schools, well, obviously you'd use this in high school too, but as those new middle school parents come aboard, and will this be distributed soon? Will there be a parent meeting? I mean, that's a lot of information.
Yeah, there is a lot of information. The academic courses and career handbook is going to be live, so it's something that we can update constantly. I know that after talking with Adrian, that they are anxious to get this out to their families so that students can begin looking at courses that they may be interested in, as well as making sure they're being proactive with the course selection that they're making. So it is going to be readily available. Have we talked about any professional learning or?
Professional learning definitely will be coming, no doubt about it. One of the things I wanted to respond to your question as well in regards to middle school, one of the efforts that we are taking in with this new endeavor with pipelines and pathways, this framework for college and career readiness, is we will be utilizing also a new platform that is called Naviance. I'm sure many of you have heard about Indiana Career, excuse me, I was going to say Indiana Career Explorer. That is not what What is my platform, Adrian? It just slipped my mind.
Naviance?
No, our
SFS.
Indiana's current one.
Oh, it is
Indiana Career Explorer.
Thank you. Okay, I was right. Too many of them. My apologies. So Indiana Career Explorer, one of the things that we found with the lessons for previous, it was not of an advantage for really preparing our students the way we wanted to. So this platform will allow us to introduce all of these things early elementary and middle school. We will be doing that at an early age for our students, really allowing them to explore not only their options, but as we take a look at this course catalog, our career handbook, we don't want students waiting until they're the 9th grade to begin to learn what we offer at the high school level and preparing for college. So you will be seeing more and more as we're reaching to our lower grades to make sure that is happening.
Can I add one other thing? First of all, I want to thank these folks, and there's a whole lot behind them. They have been meeting every single Wednesday at 3 o'clock for I don't know how long. But they are continuing now to look at the next steps for the next year. But you saw on one of those screens the bridge to AMP Lab. The Kelly building that we are partnering with the Boys and Girls Club will be for 8th graders. And so next year, part of the professional learning and part of how we're getting students acclimated, they will have an opportunity to experience at the AMP, or not at the AMP Lab, but the Kelly Academy, all of these various pipelines during their 8th grade year with a capstone project. So by the time they put their schedules together for 9th grade, they'll be well versed in what their options are. So that's part of our step backwards for 8th grade, and then we're going to continue 7th, 6th, 5th, 4th, and adding those pieces. So by the time kids get to their scheduling, they'll know what those are all about and be able to say that they've actually experienced some of them.
Will the parents also know? I mean, I guess there's a part of scheduling for high school that, as for me, has always been a problem. Like, always been a question. I don't want to say a problem, but even having a child go through, and now I'm at that part again, when you get that, and we have a lot of information, we have a lot of really great opportunities that I think that sometimes we miss, because our kids know, but we don't know, or they just fill it out, and then we're like, okay. So, you know, I mean, especially first time parents coming into high school, like, that's why I was asking. There's a lot of that information. Is there parent training on this handbook too?
So one of the things that we have talked about is how we educate our parents about this. And we definitely will be having some workshops, also some school-based when they're doing back-to-school nights, some other opportunities, of course, as middle school is preparing. I don't know if you noticed, because some of those were small, but as Amelia shared some of the snapshots from the pages, one of the things that makes this easier and more understandable, as if you're taking a look, the education was up there for an example, but it shows you every course you need to take within 9th grade, depending on the diploma type you're seeking, 10th grade, 11th, and 12th. Right now, when you look at the course catalog, it is by those areas of English, math. Now you're looking by topic area or pathway, and that is going to really hone in. It lets parents know, here's the options that your students have in order to fulfill this requirement, and will also give you more voice with that process.
How much flexibility is there within each of that? So if I have a student who sees that, and I know that Faye just mentioned the Kelly, but I'm just going to use me for an example. I'm in the middle of that right now. So my child is going to go from 8th grade to 9th grade without any of the background or any of that, and we have all these possibilities, and I don't even know, even with the knowledge that I have, where we're going with that. So the flexibility within the programming and looking at all those options, can we switch from something to something?
Yes. The first 9th grade courses for, say, allied health sciences, there's a principles course, but that does not, there are also places in there where students they can take electives. They will have the opportunity. They're not locked in just in 9th grade. There's flexibility in there where they can move those schedules around. One of the things we're having a conversation about for principals is, what do you stop offering so you can start offering, so that they're clean pathways with capstones, so that students actually can do a pathway and not take these random, I'm taking this class that leads to nowhere towards graduation other than potentially an elective. So we had to get the catalog done. And again, it's laid out. So you see all the courses you take at 9th grade, depending on which one of those, Core 40, technical, honors, or that. And as each year, we're going to continue to add to that. But this, you're right, is going to be huge around how do we make sure that parents, students, teachers, counselors, are really well versed in this. This is one of the reasons why this is rolling out in February and not in April, so that there's plenty enough time for us to start those conversations, hold those sessions, so that everyone can get up to speed.
That's great. Thank you.
Any other questions? Steve?
So, is there an app for this? I'm serious. Is there?
For the handbook?
Jack left.
For the question that I think Noah asked Adrian, and that is, how in the heck are you going to track all of this information for every student to make sure that they are meeting every degree graduation requirement? And so, I mean, I'm looking at my phone, and I've got, my chart through Parkview, and I can order my prescriptions, and they will have it delivered at Walgreens at Creighton Avenue. I can buy Cub tickets. I can, pay my bank bills. So is there an app for parents and kids to track that?
So that is an excellent question, and we do
That
not
really
have an app
empowers
today.
every individual and allows you really not to be, having 300 kids on your back and worrying 400 kids. Thank you. and having to worry about is that, hey, look, I mean, we started this meeting with these bright kids from New Tech talking about all their little projects, and if the state isn't going to do that.
I was going to say, it sounds like a great project for maybe Career Center or AMPLAG kids to take up.
Riley left too early, too.
Or those kids who we gave awards to for the computer programming.
Yep.
They can create an app and
We will look
track
into
their
that,
own.
Mr. Corona.
I mean, I would push the state, hey, where's the app? How do we empower people to really monitor their own learning process and what they've acquired, what they've achieved, and what they need to accomplish in the next 2 years?
I could also graduate, couldn't I, without ever being in any pipeline? I mean, if I go into it thinking, well, okay, I'm going to take 3 AP classes, then it's going to meet that requirement. I don't have to participate in any kind of pipeline if it doesn't fit maybe what I'm interested in. Correct?
Yeah, we just want to make sure that we offer it.
Oh, absolutely.
But yes, if you meet one, then you're okay. We have
Right.
students that are military bound, and scoring a 31 on the ASVAB will satisfy that, and that's what they're working towards. And so they're not interested in some of the other things that we offer.
I just wanted to make sure I was clear on that.
Yes, depending on what it is that you're interested in.
You indicate we've been doing this for 3 years, even though it's not required till this year. Have you found it easier for kids to graduate, harder for kids to graduate, more meaningful for kids to graduate?
I would say it's absolutely more meaningful.
Yes.
Because we had students that could pass their classes but couldn't pass the test.
Right.
They could successfully participate in the Career Center and have wonderful paying jobs after they leave high school, but they still didn't pass the test.
Right.
So then we deemed them inadequate, to be successful members of our community, which was very inaccurate. Or, vice versa. We had students that didn't pass the classes that could blow a test away, but so it really didn't prove their abilities to be successful. So although it's a lot, it is a lot, and it's ever changing. Each year so far, since the first year, it has changed every year a lot. So we are just as a parent we're doing our best to keep up and make sure that we train our counselors, that they know every little piece. And that's why that tracking is really important for us, because it is so much.
And so our graduates the last 3 years have not only met the state standards, but the state's projected standards as well.
Correct.
I think, and Noah, one last thing that you asked about, the domain 2, I would say we have done very creative things with our students too, of even helping them with orientations if they're lower functioning students. Counselors have gone with them to Kroger, to do orientations and put applications in. Transportation has been issues sometimes, so try to help students even learn how to ride the CityLink in order to meet that graduation pathway.
So what's been the biggest challenge?
Time. Time in the day. I mean, Jennifer, I would love, what we do is we have parents that come, we sit with you, and we explain them. We offer different things. We've offered during parent-teacher conferences for students and parents to come meet with us as counselors too. Unfortunately, not many parents take us up on it, so this next year when he's a ninth grader too, you can come and do that.
Sign me up.
I appreciate you going above and beyond the call of duty with some of these students and the things that you mentioned with helping them with getting jobs and going to interviews and things like that. So that's really great. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank all of you for all your Wednesdays and everything else that you put into it, because it sounds like the handbook itself, it seems like an amazing tool, and I'm looking forward to seeing it. Thank you.
Well, thank you all. I would like to end this evening with a quote from Dr. Daniel. When we began this work earlier, I asked Dr. Daniel I should share with me your why to align with the work that we're doing and the direction in which you want us to move. And he shared that preparing students for an ever-changing world is at the forefront of Fort Wayne Community Schools by creating new avenues to strengthen FWCS partnerships with community leaders. We can together, and I do want to emphasize together, provide human capital for economic growth and equity in Allen County and Northeast Indiana. So thank you once again for your time tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Informative. Okay, we'll end with our comments, but Dr. Daniel, I'm going to let you go first, and then you can go again, because I think I screwed you up.
No, this is fine. So, yeah, this has been a very inspiring evening, so thank you for all your discussion, as well as all the presentations. So, tonight, we get to introduce our new assistant superintendent for curriculum, instruction, and assessment. So, Dr. Joseph Brown, if you'd like to stand up. Now, Dr. Brown will start officially February 28th. And, of course, we've been sending him a few things that I'm sure he's only doing it on the weekends when he's not working. But we're very fortunate, I feel. And one of the things, the state changes things routinely and adjusts things. I think we've been in that mode, but we've tried to be very aware of, let's bring only things that currently are happening and enrich or expand. So we're very interested in continuing to do that. Of course, assessments there. But we know that our curriculum, as we look at it today, needs to have, or we are now focusing, it needs to be laser-like, literacy, numeracy, and quite frankly, success skills. And you can call success skills whatever you want. And I was at high school today, and as I talked to kids, and as we were at Ottenweller's this past Friday, they weren't so terribly concerned on the academic side, although they were, it is an engineering place, they're talking X, Y, and Z axis and that sort of thing, but they were talking about success skills, work ethic, how do you collaborate, how do you problem solve, how do you communicate, all those things coming together. So that's, I hate to say this, but that's Dr. Brown's, I guess that's his task at hand. We have to now implement, and we have to see those needles move in the areas that we just mentioned. And I think when we do that, we then achieve what we see up there as well. But again, we do it all together. And I am so grateful that we have the team that we have and we see the movement that we're seeing. So I don't know if you, you want to put him on the spot?
Sure, he's been here all night.
Yeah, might as well. He hasn't been here very long.
Right
so-
after
First off, I apologize for not being here last month. I was in
That's all right.
quarantine, unfortunately, but watching virtually. So I apologize for not being here in person last time.
Well, thank you for coming this evening, and I hope you weren't planning on leaving right after your original introduction that was probably supposed to take place about 2 hours ago.
I was planning on, I'm actually staying tomorrow, so you're good.
All right.
And I applaud you for your 1134 resolution tonight. I'm hoping to get a copy and share it with my board tomorrow.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, thank you.
We'll be glad to share that.
Nice
Sure.
meeting you.
I guess the other thing, just to, a few weeks ago, we're experiencing severe weather. And there are many factors that go into how do we decide. I don't know if everyone knows this, but we're trying to post on the web so people can see it. We do have to make a decision around 5 o'clock in the morning. So we're a little bit further ahead that timeline than other districts. So we're sort of leading this in many times, but we said, hey, under the current situations that we exist in, a lot of unknowns. We've all heard about them. We lack teachers. We lack bus drivers. We can't positively say we're going to meet this time, as far as pickup times. So we decided, let's look at that data. Let's look at what we're seeing right now. And we don't have, quote, a written policy, but we were basically looking around -20 below zero. And that's if you have a consistent wind chill. But we looked at that and said, wait a minute. With what we're dealing with today, because of the unknowns, perhaps we should look at, there are some students that are standing at a stop longer than 20 minutes, 15, 20 minutes. So let's have the benefit of doubt here. So we are looking at more of a -15 temperature. That moves us out to about 45 minutes. But again, I'm going to say to any parent, if you ever have a need, go to your building level or go to FACE, and we have supplies for every need for our children. So there should be no child who goes without a coat, gloves, hat, and so forth. And again, that's the strength of our community. Please, folks, use it. So that, I wanted to update that guideline just a bit. And then as far as another piece, and I didn't get into the conversation on House Bill 1134, but I think you hit it. And that is perception. Perception is we have moved a workforce, and I'm talking about educators, to a point where we are now hesitant. Do we take this discussion to the next level? Do we, if you will, and we're big on how do we prepare human capital for economic growth and equity in our community, why as a teacher would I say, hey, I want students to have internships when I don't have control of what happens at that internship, but I'm going to be responsible? And I'm not going to, whoa, wait a minute. Again, much of this is perception, but at the same time, perception is reality. And I don't think that's what our state wants. I think we want economic growth. I think we want to see people of wide ranges and definitely people of diversity coming together, because that's today's workforce. So with that said, again, I applaud you for your resolution and us moving forward in this vein. So those are the few comments I had for this evening, and I will
All right,
thank you.
Steve?
Yes, two quick things. Dr. Daniel mentioned it briefly, but Friday we had a chance to visit Ottenweller Fabricators. They are a company of about 200 people, and they fabricate steel, which is essentially they bend, cut, or punch steel. And with us were Riley Johnson, and we had Jesse Webb, and then Sandra Adams, the assistant principal at Anthus, Dr. Daniel and myself. This all started with, I was in Anthus a couple of months ago, and Sandy was trying to hang up something that one of her students had designed, and she mentioned that they'd love to get in to talk to a steel fabricator. And I said, well, I know Mike Ottenweller, and so we arranged it. He was just absolutely delighted to have us there. And I told Jesse and the others, hey, I know a lot of people in town. If we need to go see them and tell them, you know, what we're doing, we all heard the presentation tonight, we're going to do that. So it was a great visit. Mike said, let's stay in touch. I know we talked to Riley afterwards, so we opened some doors there. I'm driving tomorrow at 6 a.m. in the morning to attend the Indiana School Boards Association State House Day. And again, I may hand them this resolution and let them know what we did tonight. So anyway, got to keep talking to them. We got to keep inviting them. It's a long-term relationship with those folks, so they have to know about the good things we're doing in Fort Wayne, Indiana.
Raleigh and I will be joining you tomorrow at that event. Julie.
Right. I would just encourage, any parents or community members who are supporters of public education. There's still time to contact your representative and, phone call, email, even text, and let them know your concerns about House Bill 1134. There are some others, but we focused on 1134 tonight. Like I said, I think it's being heard in committee Wednesday, and I'm not sure if I've seen a greater groundswell of opposition than there has been this year and to any particular bill. But like we said in our resolution, there's a lot of reasons for that, and if it concerns you too, please make that contact. Thank you.
Jennifer?
I'm going to go on something totally different, although I do echo definitely Julie's words. And one thing I have said over and over is that, and I've learned that, there's things going on nationally that we're all in tune to because of the national news and the media and everything else, but it's what's happening down at the State House that mostly affects us locally. So, I want people to be more informed, and if you're in this room tonight and you can just spread that message to 5 people and they spread it to 5 people, then, we're making some progress and some ground. But on a much happier note, I did get to tour Amp Labs the other day, and I think anybody who gets the opportunity to go there when it's halfway completed or completed, it's a fabulous project, and our students will be very lucky to attend this facility, and I think that the community will be it'll be something new and exciting, and it's time that we've done that, so I'm excited to see that happen.
Great. I just wanted to echo getting in touch with your legislators. I also wanted to point out House Bill 1072, which is a bill that would require public schools, if they go after a referendum to improve schools in their district, this bill would require public schools to share a portion of that with charter schools in their district. And I just want to remind taxpayers, I think education is great. I think education, when you're using my tax dollars, I need to see what you're doing with that money, and I need to see that you're actually educating students and that you're putting that money to good use, and you're not just paying directors of your charter school a lot of money and letting the students just flow in and out without any kind of accountability to taxpayers as to whether or not those students are actually learning. So for me, this is a real big transparency issue. And so I would definitely advise that you add House Bill 1072 to your list of bills to contact your legislators about. And I would be remiss if I didn't announce that Weiser Park Koalas are in the city finals for boys basketball.
Go Koalas.
Go Koalas. I've never been so proud as a parent.
Do we know who they play?
Yes, they play Maplewood Thursday night at 6 p.m. at Wayne High School. And so I'm sorry I don't have the girls' basketball information. I only know the boys because I have a player. So, but go Koalas.
All right.
Koalas.
Raleigh?
I just like to echo, what some of my fellow board members said about getting in touch with your legislators, staying involved. Ann and I are going down to the State House tomorrow for ISBA State House Day, and I'm excited about that, excited to bring information back about the information or about whatever we learned down there. I was also able to go to the anti-racism art exhibit last week that the kids at Wayne did. It was amazing. It was emotional. It was powerful. So really proud of those students, and hats off to the staff and community members who helped to put that together too.
I've talked a lot tonight, so I'll try and keep it short. Congratulations to the Lady Snyder Panthers, who made the regional finals and got beat with Faye and Ann and I in the stands, and Jennifer actually, to a very tough Noblesville team. So they were the only SAC team, and I think, the only SAC team to make it that far, and the only Fort Wayne Community Schools team. Congratulations to Jesse Bates for a great Super Bowl. Unfortunately, came up on the short end of the stick, and so Dr. Daniels, I'm sure, will live up to his widely viewed bet and eat up at BurgerFi, unfortunately, instead of Skyline Chili. So I appreciate your willingness and participation in that, Dr. Daniels, and thought it was a lot of fun for the community. So that's all.
Well, thank you. Last month, I attended the Food Exodus Project at the Allen County Library, and it was, I didn't realize it until I got there, but it was a locally made film about food deserts in Fort Wayne by Midwest, do you know, Maria, that group?
I attended it as well.
I didn't
I know
write it
that
down.
the St. Joe Community Foundation had an arm in it as well.
Well, anyway, some people put it on.
Yeah.
But I just went because I was just interested in that topic, because if you ever Google grocery stores in Fort Wayne, Indiana, it's quite obvious where they are not located. But anyway, as I was going to the event, I saw some Wayne High School students and their teacher and Mr. Hauser, and I just thought that was really cool that they were going to this event because it was offered on Zoom, but they chose to go in person, which is, kind of a change these days to do things in person. And I was just impressed that John Hauser accompanied them. So I'm sure they learned a lot, as I did, and they are making progress on trying to get some groceries on our southeast side to make it less of a food desert, but so things are in the works, which was good to hear. And just the training of people on healthy eating and how to cook healthy foods and different things like that. I was really impressed with that because I did not know that was going on. And I also just wanted to thank all those people who created those wonderful videos that we got to watch over and over and over again. With the Super Bowl and Jesse Bates and all that. That, I'm sure you put a lot of work into that, but it was so much fun, and especially at a time like now, our favorite time of year during the legislative session. So that was fun, and I mentioned earlier that I think about 100 of those views on Dr. Daniels were mine because it was just so funny. Watched it over and over again. So hilarious. Anyway. That's all I have. Is there a motion on the floor to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Maria. All in favor?
Dr. Daniel gives lessons in room 101 for dancing afterwards.